To the world, she was the people's princess. A woman whose smile could light up a room, whose kindness crossed borders, and whose presence seemed to redefine what royalty could be. Millions believed they knew Princess Diana. They watched her fairy tale wedding. They witnessed the breakdown of her marriage, and they mourned her tragic death. But beneath the dazzling photographs, the elegant gowns, and the constant media attention was a woman fighting battles that few people truly understood. A woman who quietly changed the monarchy, not by rewriting its rules on paper, but by changing what people expected from those who wore the crown. Even nearly 3 decades after her death, members of the royal family are still living in the world Diana helped create. So how did a shy kindergarten assistant become the most influential royal of the modern age? And why does her story continue to shape the monarchy today? This is the hidden story behind Princess Diana. Before she became a princess, long before the crowds, before the cameras, before millions around the world knew her name, she was simply Diana Spencer. Born on July 1, 1961, Diana came from an aristocratic family with deep ties to the British royal household. Although her family was well connected, her childhood was far from perfect. When Diana was young, her parents' marriage ended in divorce, an emotionally difficult experience that affected her deeply. Friends and biographers have often described her as a sensitive child who longed for stability and affection. Unlike many people imagine, Diana wasn't raised as someone destined to become queen. She struggled academically, preferred caring for children, loved music and dance, and was often described as warm and approachable rather than ambitious. In many ways, she seemed remarkably ordinary. That ordinary quality would later become one of her greatest strengths. Because while other royals often appeared distant, Diana had an ability to make people feel seen. No one, not even Diana herself, could have predicted how quickly her life was about to change. In 1980, the world's attention turned toward a young nursery assistant who had begun spending time with Prince Charles. She was just 19 years old. He was the heir to the British throne. Their engagement sparked enormous excitement, and on July 29, 1981, an estimated global television audience of hundreds of millions watched as Diana married Charles in what many called the wedding of the century. The ceremony at St. Paul's Cathedral looked like something from a fairy tale. The dress, the carriage procession, the cheering crowds, everything seemed perfect. But appearances can be deceiving. Royal life came with relentless public attention, strict expectations, and traditions unlike anything Diana had experienced. The shy young woman who had once worked with children suddenly found herself under constant scrutiny. Every outfit, every smile, every expression, every rumor, nothing escaped public attention. Behind the scenes, adapting to royal life proved far more challenging than anyone watching from home could have imagined. Becoming the people's princess. While the institution expected tradition, Diana brought something different: connection. Instead of simply waving from a distance, she often stopped to speak with people for long periods. She hugged children. She comforted grieving families. She knelt beside patients. She listened more than she spoke. Those gestures may seem ordinary today, but at the time they stood out because they were far less common in royal public life. Perhaps her most influential work came through humanitarian causes. She supported organizations helping homeless people, children, and those living with serious illnesses. One of the defining images of her public life came when she shook hands with a man living with AIDS without wearing gloves. At a time when fear and misinformation surrounded the disease, that simple gesture sent a powerful message. Later, she also drew global attention to the dangers posed by landmines, walking through a cleared minefield in protective equipment during a humanitarian visit. These weren't just photo opportunities. They helped bring worldwide attention to issues many people had overlooked. Slowly, Diana transformed what many expected from a modern royal. Not simply ceremony, But compassion? Absolutely. Since you're producing this as a long-form documentary, below is the continuation in the same cinematic style. The script stays grounded in well-established historical facts while avoiding speculation presented as fact. As Diana's popularity grew, so did the pressure. To millions of people, she looked like the perfect princess. But behind palace walls, she often felt isolated. Royal life demanded constant discipline. Every public appearance was carefully planned. Every speech was examined. Every headline could become international news. Unlike celebrities, members of the royal family couldn't simply walk away from public life. For Diana, the attention became overwhelming. The media followed her almost everywhere she went. Photographers waited outside her home, chased her car through city streets, and documented even the smallest moments of her private life. The cameras never seemed to disappear. Yet Diana understood something remarkable. Instead of allowing the media to define her completely, she learned how to communicate directly with the public through her compassion and public work. People no longer admired her simply because she was a princess. They admired her because she seemed human. That connection would eventually become stronger than the institution itself. And it would change the monarchy forever. By the early 1990s, it had become increasingly clear that Prince Charles and Princess Diana's marriage was under immense strain. Rumors filled newspaper headlines. Public interest reached unprecedented levels. In 1992, the couple formally separated. Then, in 1995, Diana participated in one of the most talked-about television interviews in royal history. Speaking openly about the challenges she had faced, she gave the world a rare glimpse into the realities of royal life as she experienced them. The interview became a defining cultural moment. Some praised her honesty. Others believed private family matters should have remained private. Whatever people's opinions, one thing was undeniable. The relationship between the monarchy and the public had changed forever. The following year, in 1996, Charles and Diana officially divorced. Although she no longer held the style of Her Royal Highness, she remained Princess Diana and continued to devote much of her time to charitable causes. In many ways, she seemed freer than ever. But freedom came with its own challenges. The intense public attention never stopped. Without the formal responsibilities of royal life, Diana focused even more on humanitarian work. She visited hospitals. She supported charities helping vulnerable children. She advocated for people affected by conflict and poverty. Perhaps most famously, she helped bring worldwide attention to the danger posed by anti-personnel landmines. Images of Diana walking through a cleared minefield wearing protective gear were seen around the world. Those photographs became symbols of courage and compassion. She demonstrated that influence wasn't measured only by titles. Sometimes it was measured by empathy, by simply showing up, by listening, by making people feel that they mattered. This approach reshaped public expectations of what a royal could be. Today, many historians point to Diana as one of the figures who modernized the public image of the monarchy. Not through constitutional change, but through human connection. The night that shocked the world. On August 31, 1997, the world woke to devastating news. Princess Diana had died following a car crash in Paris. She was only 36 years old. The announcement stunned millions. People gathered outside royal residences carrying flowers, candles, handwritten letters, and photographs. The sea of floral tributes outside Kensington Palace became one of the most powerful public displays of grief in modern British history. Television networks interrupted regular programming. Newspapers across the globe carried the story on their front pages. Leaders from around the world offered tributes. For many people, it felt as though they had lost someone they personally knew. The extraordinary public response reflected the unique relationship Diana had built with people everywhere. Her funeral was watched by an estimated 2 billion viewers worldwide. It became one of the most watched broadcasts in history. Even decades later, images from that week remain deeply remembered. Nearly 30 years have passed. Yet Princess Diana's influence has never truly faded. Her sons, Prince William and Prince Harry, have each spoken publicly about the impact she had on their lives and the lessons they learned from her compassion and commitment to helping others. Many of the charitable causes Diana championed continue today. The royal family itself has evolved in ways that many observers believe reflect changing public expectations that grew during Diana's lifetime. Modern royals are often expected not only to represent tradition, but also to connect personally with the public, support charitable initiatives, and speak openly about important social issues. Whether through hospital visits, mental health campaigns, or humanitarian work, echoes of Diana's approach can still be seen. History remembers many queens, many kings, many rulers, but very few people transform an institution simply by changing how people feel. That is perhaps Diana's greatest legacy. She reminded the world that compassion could be just as powerful as ceremony, that kindness could become a form of leadership, and that sometimes the person who changes history isn't the one wearing the crown. It's the one who changes what the crown means. Princess Diana's life wasn't a perfect fairy tale. It was a story of extraordinary visibility, immense pressure, deep compassion, and lasting influence. She entered the royal family as a shy young woman few people knew. She left behind a legacy that continues to shape conversations about the monarchy, charity, and public service around the world. Whether admired for her humanitarian work, remembered for her warmth, or studied for her impact on modern royalty, one thing remains clear. The hidden story behind Princess Diana isn't just about a princess. It's about a woman whose humanity changed history. If you enjoyed this documentary and want more untold stories about the British royal family and the people who shaped history behind the scenes, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications. Because sometimes the most fascinating stories are the ones history almost forgot.